Okay, we are resuming our session after the break. Okay, so now, so composite supply we have completed. Now we're going supply of goods. Supply of goods, then supply of goods by any unincorporated association or body of persons to a member thereof for cash, deferred payment, cash, deferred payment, or any valuable concession. Then also it will be considered supply of goods. This one also I have already studied. Okay, so here it is explaining each and every points that I have already explained in between you. I will speedily go through this. Okay. So schedule 2.4 part A, part B. Okay. For what do you mean for business assets. Okay. So the transfer of business assets, if it is permanently transferred, okay. If it is permanently transferred, see, permanently transferred for consideration, no consideration. Supply of goods 7 subsection 1 clause A read with schedule 2. This one. If no consideration, transaction covered under schedule 1. Yes, no. So see, if consideration is there, we'll see the supply section 7 1 clause A read with schedule 2. First section of 7. So it will be supply as per section 7 1A. Then we'll see supply of goods service, that is goods. Now, if there is no consideration and transaction is covered under schedule 1. Schedule 1 means remember schedule 1. Okay. Under schedule 1, there are some points where their first point was permanent transfer or disposal of business assets. If you have availed the input tax credit on the purchase, then when you dispose of it or transfer, then it will be considered as supply and GST will be levied. Okay. So if the transaction is covered under schedule 1, if it is covered under schedule 1, yes or no? Yes, it is covered, then it will be supply, or else not supply. Okay, or else not a supply. Next, here we are giving temporary, just you are giving use, right to use. For consideration, same thing in the first section supply 7.1a, it will be supply. If it is no consideration, whether transaction is covered in schedule 1, if yes, then 7.1c, the same. Okay, use of assets. Okay, supply of goods or services, or both between related person or distinct person is there. Okay, then we'll read. Otherwise, no, not a supply. It will help you to summarize this point at the time of examination. Now we'll see there is a case study, consultancy services versus state of AP, Andhra Pradesh 2004, subs 178 ELT 22 Supreme Court. In the said case, it was held that goods may be tangible property or an intangible one. It would become goods provided that attributes having regard to its utility. Okay, regarding its utility, capable of being bought and sold, capable of being transmitted, transferred, delivered, stored, passed. If a software, whether customized, if it is a customized software or non-customized software, it satisfies those attributes, then same it will be goods. See, for customization or non-customer, you need to see these factors. If these factors are satisfied, then it will be goods. Okay. Example, a shopping complex owned by MSX Limited and MSY Limited. On a later date, MSX Limited sold his share in shopping complex to Mr. Z Limited, and hence ownership is not transferred to Mr. MSZ Limited, but only share in property is transferred to MSZ Limited. It is a supply of service. Okay, so you are transferring your share portion. You are not giving the ownership is not transferred, but your ownership right of this your undivided share, that is transferred. It will be under point number 1 or para 1, supply of services. Okay, Second, transfer of title in future date. Mr. A provides machine to Mr. B and permits Mr. B to use the machine, provided Mr. B pays for the machine after 2 months. When the property of the goods will be transferred to Mr. B, it will be considered as a transaction in goods and service. Therefore, it is a supply of goods because the predominant is machine. Machine is a tangible property. Okay. Okay. Then see, such activities could be coaching by teacher or at his residence, carrying out professional activities, even storing of business goods and residential premises. All these are okay. So this is all done at a future date. Okay. Now we'll go to job work example is there. All the points you have example. I'm not going into deep. Okay. You can read by yourself this because I have already explained to you in simple language. So I am ignoring. This everything we have completed. When you need to do by yourself these examples. Okay. Then Infotech software also have discussed. Concern service also have said, have read about. Agreeing for refrain from the act. Okay. Then refrain means restricting oneself to do or not to do an act. This one also I've given example. Tolerance for act or situation. This one also I've given an example. Okay. Transfer of right to use I've also studied. Then tenancy right, taxability also given. Yes, CBI circular is there. An example is there. Let us see this question. Okay, example number 3. You are required to answer the following question: whether the transfer of tenancy right to an incoming tenant, consideration for which in form of tenancy premiums are act of GST when stamp duty and registration charges is levied on the said premium. If yes, what would be the applicable rate? Okay, what would be the applicable rate? And further, in case of transfer of tenancy rights, a part of the consideration for which transfer accrues to the outgoing tenant, whether such applies will also attract GST. It is under clarification. Okay, CBSE circular. So this is important for avoiding confusion. This clarification has been given under CBSE circular. Okay, what it is saying is, see, our question is whether transfer of tenancy right, you have transferred your rights to an incoming tenant for which you are giving consideration. The consideration is in the form of tenancy premium. Whether it will attract GST when stamp duty and registration charge is levied on the said premium. If yes, on what rate? Further, if in case of transfer of tenancy right, if you are giving a part of the consideration for which it accrues to the outgoing tenant, whether such act will be attracting GST. Okay. So let's see what is the answer. The activity of transfer of tenancy right is squarely covered under the scope of supply and taxable purse. Transfer of tenancy right is to a new tenant against consideration in the form tenancy premium is taxable. This would have already guessed before reading the answer, I know. However, renting of residential dwelling for use as a residence dwelling against the tenancy premium or periodic rent or both is exempt. I've already said if it is for residential purpose, this tenancy renting, leasing will be exempted. Okay. So you highlight this point. Okay. It is taxable, but it is exempt because of it is a residential dwelling. Okay. Next point, as regards where services provided by outgoing tenant by way of surrendering the tenancy right against the consideration in the form of portion of tenancy premium, it is liable to GST. Yeah, that is worth. When see the when outgoing tenant surrenders his right, then for that portion he is receiving consideration. So that is liable to GST, and that is applicable at the rate 18%. Okay. Next, composite supply I've also we have stated. But what do you mean by worst contract? I've told you, but I've not read the definition. We'll see. Worst contract means construction of contract, not construction. It is contract. Okay. Building, construction, fabrication, completion, erection, installation, fitting out, improvement, modification, repair, maintenance, renovation, alteration, commission of an immovable property. Okay, any type of these services, this type of any services for in of an immovable property for which you are getting a contract wherein transfer of property in goods is involved, it is called works contract. Okay, so we'll take this example. Okay, example number 82. S Private Limited was awarded a contract in July 2017 for providing flooring and wall tiling services in respect of a building located in Delhi by Unlimited. So we are giving, so you are getting a contract of flooring and wall tiling. Okay, for building in Delhi. And as per the contract, S Private Limited was to provide all the required material. So the contract S Private Limited will also provide the materials for execution of the contract. However, Unlimited also provided a portion of the material and also gave some used some of his portion. So whether the services provided by S Private Limited are subject to GST. If yes, determine the GST liability of S Private Limited from the following particulars. Gross amount charged by S Private Limited for this contract is 6 lakhs. Fair market value of the metals supplied by Unlimited is 1 lakh. Amount charged by Unlimited for the material that is already included in the gross amount is 60,000. Okay. So the service portion is 6 lakh and metals supplied by Unlimited means the owner. Okay. Is 1 lakh and amount charged by Unlimited for the material is 60,000. So here under works contract, well, let's start from this 6 lakhs. Okay, from 6 lakh. Then we'll add the fair market value because here already given the material also. So 1 lakh and this 60,000 is already included. So we'll subtract this. Okay. Then we'll get 6 lakh 40,000 is our taxable value that is liable to GST. So you got my point? Understood what I mean by works contract? So GST will be levied on 6 lakh 40,000. 6 lakh 40,000 into 6%, 6% is 12%. Okay. So it will be GST will be total GST will be 76,800. See here in the question is already given CGST 6%, SGST is 6%. So it will be considered 12%. Okay. This examples are there. This I am giving as a homework. Okay. Now, non-taxable supplies. Okay. See, now we are starting our next session or next topic. We can say we have seen the inclusive definition, deemed supply, and out of this supply, whether it will be goods or services. Now we need to see what are non-taxable supplies or the activities or transaction will not be considered as a supply. Okay. This is comes under section 7 subsection 2. So here it is clearly written supply excludes. Supply excludes. Okay. Excludes means these activities will be not considered supply. Activities or transactions specified in schedule 3. Okay. But this also given schedule. So this is also schedule 3. Till now we have already read 3 schedules, schedule 1, schedule 2. Now we are going to read schedule 3. Okay. Can you recall what is schedule 1? What is schedule 2? Schedule 1 is deemed supply. Okay. Means no consideration is there. And this schedule 2 is whether it is goods or supply we are deciding. When we have 5 to 6 paras over there. Just now we have read that is schedule 2. Now we are going to read schedule 3. Okay. And such activities or transactions undertaken by central government or state government or any local authority in which they are engaged as public authorities. I have already read above. Okay. If some central government, state government or any local authority are working as a public authorities as notified by the government, then those activities those activities or transactions will be considered as non-taxable supply. You, for a better understanding, you can consider it as negative list, as in service tax it was negative list was there. But in GST there is no word, in the Bare Act there is no word called negative list. Okay, you can consider as non-taxable supply. We'll go one by one. Yes, clarification is there. Okay, circular. Okay, let's go. So, for activities specified in Schedule 3, that is negative list, services by employee to employer in the in relation of employment. Okay, if employment is there, then employment relationship is there, then it will come under non-taxable supply. Then services by a court or tribunal, this will also come under non-taxable supply. Services by member of parliament or MLA, it will come. Supply of funeral, burial, sale of land or building. All these things I've already read above. For that reason, I'm reading in speedily. Okay. Then external claim also. It also a non-taxable supply, but lottery betting gambling it will be taken as supply. Okay, lottery betting gambling. Okay. Now, further, it was some points are added. Supply of goods or services from a non-taxable. These are important. Supply of goods from non-taxable territory to another place of non-taxable territory without such goods entering. Okay, without such goods entering into India. This also will be taken as non-taxable supply. Then supply of warehouse goods. Okay, supply of warehouse goods before clearance for home consumption means in case of customs, when a goods is imported to India, you have the option for home consumption or warehousing. If it is warehouse is done, the goods are stored in a godown or warehouse controlled by custom authority. So before clearing for home consumption, you have given the supply to somebody else. That will also non-taxable supply. Then supply of goods by consignee to any other person. Okay, supply of goods by the consignee to any other person with endorsement. Okay, endorsement by endorsement of documents of title to the goods after the goods have been dispatched. So this also I have already told you have been dispatched from the port of origin located outside India. So in customs when they're importing some goods, after the goods have been dispatched from the origin port, it is still in transit. And before reaching to the Indian landmass, you have transferred the ownership or have given the document title to somebody else. Then that transfer is known as supply of goods by consent of the person. This is also not in supply, means non-taxable supply. Okay. So next, this section we have completed. Next section is section 7, subsection 3. Okay. Section 7, as per section 7, subsection 3, subject to the provisions subject to the provisions of subsection 1 and 2. The government may, on the recommendation of the council, specify by notification the transactions that are to be treated as goods. Okay, goods, not a supplies of services, not supply of goods. This section also I have studied above. Okay, some repetitions are there. Okay, you need to find out how many repetitions are there. See, clarification is there on interstate movement of vehicles. Okay, let's see this example. So your head office is there. Okay. This is head office. It is registered in Telangana. When there is interstate movement of vehicles, here is the branch. This is also registered. Okay. But this is Telangana. This is some different state because it is given interstate. Let us for example, Andhra Pradesh is there. So interstate movement of vehicles shall be treated as neither a supply of goods or service and therefore no level to GST. Okay. So branch here is the head office is the interstate movement of vehicles. Okay, interstate movement of vehicle is there. It neither as supply of goods.
Yeah.
So see, interstate movement of vehicle is there. Here goods is not written. Means stock in there, empty vehicles or something it may be. See, here is the case.
Yeah.
So mute yourself. Conveyance, carrying goods or passengers, or for repair and maintenance. Okay. So one, two, three. For these three cases, if interest and movement of vehicles is there, no GST. Okay. This clarification came on dated 7 July 2017. Interstate movement of vehicles are treated as supply if it is mentioned for further supply. So when it will become supply, if it is for further supply. Okay. Means from this branch place, if it will be taken or occurrence of further supply, then it will come under GST. If for this it is there is no further supply, then this also no GST will be there. Okay. However, applicable CGST, SGST, or IGST as the case may be levied on repair and maintenance done for such conveyance. That is a different thing because repair maintenance is that is separate service. Next circular is there circular or clarification regarding applicability of GST on petroleum gases retained on the manufacture of petrochemical and chemical products. Okay, we'll read this chart. Okay, because it is summarizing everything. See, it is saying oil refineries. Oil refineries supplied petroleum gas. Oil refineries supply petroleum gas for the manufacturing of petrochemical and chemical products. Okay. So remaining quantity is returned after returning a portion of petroleum gases. Okay. These clarifications actually it will be little bit difficult for you till you read the concept. Okay. So for that reason, I am planning for all clarifications we will read at last. So it will be easy for you. Okay. We'll read this all clarification at last after the completion of the course. Then it will help you to understand because you are not aware of the other provisions for the time being. I am
Yeah.
ignoring. Okay. Next topics, composite supply and mixed supply. This also I have explained, but I will go through the language what the study material says. Okay. So, okay. Composite supply and mixed supply. That is section 8. So we have completed section 7, which purely is supply, all about supply. Then in section 8, whether it is composite supply or mixed supply, we need to differentiate it. Okay. So composite supply is when two or more goods are sold in a combination, difficult to identify the rate tax to be levied. Okay. In that case, we need to segregate whether it is composite supply or mixed supply. Then, composite supply is similar to the concept of bundled service in the service tax. Okay, both composite supply and the mixed supply consist of two or more taxable supplies. Two or more taxable supplies of goods or service are both. Main difference is that composite supply is naturally bundled and goods and services are usually provided together in the normal course. Means in the normal course they are giving in bundled and cannot be separated. Whereas in mixed supply, the goods services can be sold separately. Okay. Next. Composite supply consists of two or more goods and services which is naturally supplied with each other. See, naturally supplied with each other in the ordinary course of business, and one of them is a principal supply. The items cannot be supplied separately, cannot be sold separately. Principal supply means the supply of goods or services which constitute the predominant element of a composite supply to which another supply is ancillary or secondary. Following two conditions are necessary for composite supply. Okay, these two conditions you need to follow to identify. Supply of two or more goods or service together. This we have understood. Two or more. And it should be naturally bundled, cannot be sold separately. If these two points are satisfied, you can say it a composite supply. See, example is there. Booking of air tickets, which involves cost of the meal to be provided during travel. It will be composite supply. Okay. And the tax will be collected on the principal supply, which is in the case of transportation of passenger through flight. So there is clear identification of composite supply. Okay. Because the meal for the air ticket cannot be sold separately. Next. MSP Limited entered into contract with MSZ Limited Limited for supply of goods, where goods are packed and transported with insurance. The supply of goods, packing material, transport, and insurance is the composite supply, and supply of goods is the principal supply. This also you know. I've already read this example somewhere above. Okay. So now we'll go to mixed supply. In mixed supply, two or more individual supplies are there. Combination is there of goods and services with each other, and each of the items can be supplied separately, not dependent on each other. Okay. In other words, combination of goods and services are not bundled due to natural necessity. Okay. So, not bundled due to natural necessities, they can be supplied individually in the ordinary course of business. For tax liability purpose, mixed supply consisting of two or more supplies shall be treated as supply of the item which is the highest tax rate. Which will the goods or service which will be the highest tax rate will take for the whole supply the same tax rate. Okay. See, example is here. Example number 89. Diwali gift hamper, which consists of different items like sweets. I've already told now some gift items, chocolates, sweets, and gift. That gift hamper is there, no? Okay. Diwali gift hamper. It consists of different like sweet, chocolate, cakes, dry fruits packed in one pack. It's a mixed supply because these items can be sold separately and it is not naturally bundled. And out of this, which tax rate? The goods which will be the highest tax rate will consider as for the whole mixed supply will the highest tax rate. Okay. Then supply of external storage battery with UPS constitute a mixed supply. See, external storage battery with UPS, whether it is a mixed supply, let's see. Example is
Means is it inverter with UPS, that one, na?
yeah.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
This is the case study. Okay. In the case of switching Evo Electric Private Limited to 1896 taxman.com 106 AAR West Bengal. What is AAR? We'll read at last. The appellant authority for advance ruling upheld the ruling of authority for advance ruling that when the storage battery or the electric accumulator is supplied separately with the static converter or UPS, it would be considered as a mixed supply and not naturally bundled. See, okay, mixed supply, not naturally bundled because they can be sold separately. Hi, here the appellant contended that UPS cannot function without battery as on the same is an integral part of the UPS and it is naturally bundled. See, but appellant says that it is naturally bundled and supplied with each other for because it is related to it. Therefore, supply of static converter along with the external battery should be considered a composite supply. Okay, you are getting the point, the difference between the composite and the mixed supply. However, AAAR
Yes.
opine that when a UPS is supplied with built-in batteries in a manner that the supply of battery is inseparable. If battery is inseparable from the supply of the UPS, then it is naturally bundled. Then it should be a composite supply. But when the storage battery is having multiple uses, if you have multiple uses is there, okay, if multiple use is there and supplier is static converter UPS, it cannot be said that naturally bundled, even if say the same is supplied with a single coater or combined single pass. Therefore, it will be a mixed supply. Yes, Vivek, doubt? Yeah,
No, no, clear.
clear. Okay, we'll go further. See, your diagrammatic understanding is that it's a good benefit of this book, study material. See, these two can be sold separately, but if they are interlinked, then it cannot be sold separately. Okay. So this will be composite, this will be mixed.
Mixed supply, yeah.
Next, this is composite. Okay.
See,
No. Sorry.
the both are mixed.
Both are mixed. It is showing that
Yeah.
it is separately contract under single contract. They are purchased two things. Now they are connecting to each other.
Yes.
Okay. So it will be
Okay.
mixed supply. These clarifications right now I'm not studying. Okay. At last I will see these clarifications. Now we'll come back. Okay. Levy and collection. We'll come to section 9, which is our charging section. Okay. This will start in our next session. Right now I'm completing today's session now. Okay.
Yes, okay. Thank you.